The wind carried dust across the lonely valley as a man rode slowly toward the town that had forgotten his name. His coat was worn, his hat shadowed his tired eyes, but the horse beneath him walked with quiet pride. That horse was not just an animal. It was his companion, his family, and the last living memory of the man he once was. People in the town watched from wooden doors and cracked windows. They knew him, but they did not speak his name. Years ago he had been the best rider in the valley, a man who rode like the desert wind itself, fearless and free. But then the war came, and war changes men. He had left the town with promises of peace in his heart, but when he returned, the town saw something else in his eyes. Silence. Pain that never spoke. The man tied his horse outside the old saloon and stepped inside. The smell of whiskey, sweat and fear filled the air. 3 men sat near the poker table. They were the new power in town. Ranch owners, gun traders, men who believed money was stronger than justice. One of them smiled slowly. "You shouldn't have come back," the man said. The cowboy did not answer. He only ordered water. But outside, something terrible was happening. Children were shouting. Women were crying. Gunshots echoed once, then silence again. The cowboy stood slowly. His heart felt strange, heavy like stone. He walked outside and stopped. His horse was lying on the dusty road, dead. Blood soaked the earth beneath the animal that had carried him through deserts, wars, and broken nights of survival. A young boy stood nearby, shaking. "They said the horse was yours," the boy whispered. "They shot it to send a message." The cowboy did not move, not for a long time. The wind moved dust around his boots. Slowly, very slowly, he knelt beside the horse. He placed his hand on the animal's neck, as if listening for a heartbeat that would never return. In that moment, something inside him died. Not anger, not fear, something deeper. The town knew what was coming because they had seen that look before. Years ago, before the war, before the man learned how to survive where others died. The cowboy stood. He walked back into the saloon. The poker table stopped moving. Cards were frozen in hands. Even the bartender stopped breathing normally. The cowboy spoke only 3 words. "Who killed my horse?" The man with the gold ring laughed. "We did." The cowboy nodded slowly, as if accepting a truth he had already felt in his bones. Then he said something quietly. "Tonight, I bury my horse." He turned and walked out. No gun, no shouting, no promise, just silence. But the town felt something darker than gunfire itself, growing inside the man who once loved peace. And for the first time in years, the desert wind felt afraid. Night fell like a black blanket over the valley. Near the old canyon, the cowboy dug a grave with his bare hands. The earth was hard, stubborn. Like the town that had betrayed him, he worked without rest. Sweat mixed with dust and tears he refused to show. When the grave was deep enough, he carried his horse gently, like carrying a sleeping brother. People watched from distance. Some prayed. Some were afraid to breathe. The cowboy lowered the horse into the earth and spoke softly. "You carried me when I was weak. You carried me when I had nothing. You never asked why I fought." Silence answered him. He buried the horse. Then he removed something from the saddlebag, a black cloth. Slowly, he tied it around his arm, the sign of a man who had chosen darkness. At midnight, the 3 men who ordered the killing were drinking in the saloon. The doors opened slowly. The wind entered first, then the cowboy. But something was different. His walk, his eyes, the way his shadow moved behind him, like it had a mind of its own. "You came to cry?" the man with the gold ring asked. "No," the cowboy said. "I came because you killed my horse." One man laughed. "You think we fear you?" the cowboy answered quietly. "You will." Outside, a dog began howling. The wind stopped moving. The town felt the weight of something ancient waking inside the man. The first gun fired. The cowboy moved like lightning, not like a man, like a shadow learning how to become night itself. The fight was not loud. It was not heroic. It was terrifyingly silent. One man fell before he understood he was dying. Another tried to run, but found the door closed, though nobody touched it. The man with the gold ring pulled his gun slowly, hands shaking. "Who are you?" he whispered. The cowboy replied, "I am the man whose horse you killed." The shot echoed. Then silence. When morning came, the town saw 3 graves outside the saloon, and a 4th grave beside the canyon. The cowboy was gone. But sometimes, on desert nights, people say they see a man riding a black horse that does not touch the ground. And when bandits hear the wind whisper his name, they drop their guns and run, because they know one truth. You can kill a man's horse, but you cannot kill the darkness that rises when a peaceful man decides to become what his enemies fear most.